Good evening. I'm Ken Graham, broadcasting from Teeny Tiny News, sponsored by the Teeny Tiny Coffee Company. Tonight, does Donald Trump's brand of political emotivism threaten to eradicate reason from our political discourse? Responding to this question, we are joined by philosopher Alex Shantz. Mr. Shantz, thank you for joining me this evening.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Let's dive right in. Trump's success of the 2016 presidential race is characterized by his ability to build support by appealing to emotion. Reason seems an ineffective means of combating Trump. What are the moral implications of casting reason to the side in favor of emotivist approaches to achieve political success?
It does appear that reason has been ditched this political season in place of emotivist approaches. This creates an ethical dilemma because we generally feel it's unethical to allow emotion to drive political decisions. This is because emotions are fleeting and subjective, so therefore basing political decisions on emotion produces policies that cause instability and lack popular representation. However, I have a different view. I argue that emotions have always motivated our moral propositions.
A fascinating perspective, Alex. Before diving in further, could you briefly define and describe emotivism and the specific role it plays in terms of Trump's success?
Absolutely. Emotivism is a meta-ethical theory which states that moral propositions do not contain truth values. Moral propositions are emotional reactions to moral situations, and they primarily express a person's subjective preferences. To give an example, when Trump makes statements like illegal immigrants are rapists, he is not expressing a proposition that has any truth value. What Trump is actually saying is he does not like illegal immigrants and they upset him. Trump seems to understand something that David Hume discovered a few centuries ago. People are ultimately motivated by sentiment and emotion. Reason alone does not motivate people.
Earlier, you claimed that emotions have always been the primary motivators behind moral propositions. Alex, can you elaborate on this and describe some of the controversies surrounding this idea?
Yes, emotivism directly contradicts cognitivism and moral realism. Moral realists argue that moral propositions correspond with objective morality that exists somewhere in the world. For example, for stealing to be bad, there must be a moral fact in the world which affirms and corresponds to this. Because emotivism eliminates truth values from moral propositions, it provides no basis for subscribing to one moral claim over another. My rebuttal is that truth values are not the only way to provide a basis for picking between competing moral theories.
Interesting. So, if we aren't using moral facts in the world as a basis for our moral propositions, what do we use?
I argue that our underlying emotional responses to moral situations are triggered by our evolutionary drive for self-preservation. Perceived threats to our livelihood trigger emotional reactions. For example, many of Trump's supporters perceive undocumented immigrants as threats to their quality of life, safety, and culture, and this triggers feelings of fear and anger. This provides a basis for understanding why some people consider undocumented immigrants as immoral.
With all this outlined, what are the practical implications of emotivism within politics?
Emotivism can clarify why people hold contrasting moral views. Let's consider the other side of the immigration issue. Immigrants, particularly from Latin America, often leave the instability of their own countries to seek better opportunities. They are also motivated by a drive for self-preservation. This drive to survive and provide for their families trump any moral concerns about violating immigration laws.
Alex, how could politicians persuade one another and the broader public to adopt particular political positions if they aren't appealing to reason?
Ayer says that people can persuade one another by using suitable emotive language and highlighting specific facts. For example, a person might feel intuitively that all Muslim refugees should be banned from entering the United States to protect the country from domestic terrorism. However, refugees face a tougher screening process than immigrants who enter the country using visas. This shift in factual context triggers different emotions which can lead to different conclusions. This is because this shift in factual context relocates the perceived threat to one's sense of self-preservation.
It's been a very interesting evening. Alex Shantz, thank you for talking with me about this important topic.